LST 93 Logical Reasoning S2 Question 12. This could be about our students. In order to understand this logical reasoning stimulus and answers, you're going to have to what I consider being in a position to understand the vocabulary definitions. So here we're going to have come across evoke and provocative. For the first one, it's going to be bring and recall. For the second one, we're going to have causing anger or annoyance. Our students, great works of art evoke passionate responses in those who view them. Thus, since it is well known in art circles that the provocative work of abstract painter Ezekiel Reilly elicits intensely emotional responses in those who view them. His art is great. From the stimulus here, I have this information I came up with. This could be the art student. Great artwork evokes a passionate response. We got the vocabularies and definitions. Derived, coming from, point of origin. So this is going to be for the Ezekiel Reilly, and that's provocative. Great artwork evokes an intense emotional response. And we're going to have two premises, premise 1, premise 2. Premise 1, great works of art evoke passionate response in those who view them. Premise 2, provocative work elicits intensely emotional response in those who view them. Conclusion, easy art is great. So basically, the symbol for conclusion, I'm going to do the 3 dots. Those 3 dots right there simplify the what you would consider the variables for the and it went away right now. So let's see if I can go ahead and just draw it one more time. So those 3 dots could be the conclusion symbol for the this vocabulary here, conclusion. So P1 plus P2 equals the 3-dot triangle, which is the conclusion of the artwork. Hope this makes sense with the premises being P1, P2. This could be utilized as the conditioning as well that draws off the conclusion. So for the information I have in a single sentence, the initials ER for the artist Reilly. Great proactive artwork evokes intentional emotional response from the viewers. So the question I have here, or I should be saying the question that's being brought to us, is going to be which one of the following most accurately describes a flaw in the argument reasoning. For the first answer choice here, we're going to go ahead and take our time right now. It says right here, one of the premises used to support the argument's conclusion assumes the truth of the conclusion. So once again, I hope we have the understanding of the conclusion being that Reilly's artwork is great. And also, what I would like to do here is go ahead and point out that the premises here are going to be the P1, P2, which is a great work for artwork. For the guys who don't know what I'm talking about right here. Go ahead and put check mark. So, assumes the truth of the conclusion. Basically, they believe that Reilly's art is great. We're going to go ahead and say no at this moment, because we're looking for the flaw, which is going to be the error that's going to be more accurately describing the conditioning. And for this flaw here, we're going to have, it's going to be kind of more of a circular reasoning, as the Reilly's great artwork and the response of intense emotional of his artwork could be great. Basically, just because you get an emotional response doesn't really make your artwork great. It's kind of considered a circular reasoning or a kind of a consequence, as the ad harmony logical fallacy. So let's go ahead and see if we can remove that here. Question B. The argument treats a condition that is necessary for having a certain quality as if it's also be sufficient for having the quality. That's kind of like the position we're in right now with the circular reasoning consequent. It's kind of the P equals Q. Basically, the Reilly's great work equals response emotional intensely. This response, emotional intense, doesn't really necessarily make your great artwork. It's kind of like what you consider a logical fallacy. And the logical fallacy that could be considered is ad hominem, it could be circular reasoning, it could be consequent. And when we say circular reasoning, we're basically we're trying to imply here that the information P and Q, that it can go back and forth. And basically what we're trying to say is that this information right here, the response and emotion, can go back from great artwork. However, that's kind of like not true. We know that the letter Q is the letter Q. Doesn't make it P. So that's kind of like the flaw here. And we know that great artwork, it doesn't need to receive a emotional intensely information. So that's kind of why this would be a better position to argue with, because from here you can use the circular reasoning consequent to describe the flaw in the argument. Let's see if the other answers are better. C. The argument misapplies a general claim about the members of the class to a typical instance of the class. No, not one member individual versus a member of a group. Remember, look for the best answer here, and the best answers, we're going to look for the what kind of challenges him being a great artwork. D. The argument contains a generalization derived from an insufficient number of instances. No, not a common generation derived, or what you would consider coming from. It's not really non-sufficient data. E. The argument draws a conclusion that expresses a value judgment from premises that do not involve. No, the argument does draw a conclusion, and it does come from premises within a statement. And this right here could be the premises P1, P2, and this also could be the statement as well, as P1 plus P2 equals the conclusion. So the best answer choice we have here is the argument treats a condition, the P1, P2, necessary having a certain quality as if it's also being sufficient for having that quality. So basically what you're trying to say is that the artwork is great based on having a passionate response and also having a provocative work elicit intensely emotional response, which is not necessarily true. That you don't have to have those qualities to make it what you would consider great artwork. And also, too, great artwork doesn't necessarily fall into these categories as well, as it could be fall into other categories necessary too as well. So it's kind of the we consider the P equals Q, and also kind of consider that the conclusion could be the great artwork, and basically kind of considering taking this position here as necessary being the having the quality of being that trait.